What's up, y'all? Welcome to Social Perspective. I'm Taji.
I'm Erica.
I'm Sharice.
Let's get into it. So, social media. What's y'all thoughts? There's so much of a dynamic or surrounding that, as far as relationships, how it affects friendships, so on and so forth. How people present themselves. What's your guys' thoughts on it?
I mean, when social media first came out, Facebook was for me that I was never on MySpace. And it was a way originally for me to just keep track of my friends and family and for them to keep up with me. And like, that was what, 2011 and 12 for me. And that has turned into now for me, like a business. And it's just more of engagement and always constant contact with people to try to keep messages flowing excuse me, and people's interest so I can make money off of social media. But it's fun, it's been dangerous, it's been a little scary. It's completely different than what it used to be back in those days. But I never had a MySpace, so I went from Facebook, Twitter. Now I have 5 Instagram pages, mostly for business now. So that's what it is for me.
Well, MySpace, is that the original? Are we considering like MySpace to be the original?
I think on a more
social
global,
media?
more global scale, probably like, yeah. I mean, you had the blackplanet.com, which, I mean, you still had a lot of people from other races that were on there.
Yeah.
But that was my first experience of like social media. And then MySpace came through and it just pretty much blew that out the water, and it was
Oh, was
just up from
was
there.
that for dating? Black Planet was dating though.
No.
It
It was a
was?
social
It was
site.
just to put because if you look at the name MySpace, right? Like
Yeah.
it was just like your digital space to
Mhm.
showcase whether it was to showcase yourself, your personality, your likes, your creativity, I think your artistry, or just to find like-minded people by posting the things that you were into. And then you would gather this global or this internet or this digital community. You could connect with them.
Yeah.
That's what my assumption was of like MySpace. You would attract the people that were like on your same vibe.
Like your kind of people.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
they would see your playlist and then they will write you, like, hey, like that you look like a vibe or whatever the case was.
Yeah. That's what Black Planet was before
Okay.
MySpace.
I
Like, it
never
was
had a site on
literally-
there, so I didn't even know what the
Yeah.
template looked
Like literally you could go on there, you created your own profile.
Okay.
You had, the things that you were interested in, things you didn't like, so on and so forth. And you just had people on there that would just like communicate back and forth. But it was more of like a private messaging situation rather than seeing a feed of
Right, the
information. Like, yeah.
Can you imagine? Because remember there was a top 5 on MySpace. Can you
Yeah.
imagine having to do that in this day and age?
I would
With
not
the-
want
with the
that pressure.
sensitivity and the feel.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm pass on
Right,
that.
Yeah, like
You
that.
notice Instagram got rid of who you could see likes what. Remember, you could go to following and you could say so and so liked this picture, this picture, this. Do you remember that?
I know they
got-
had it. I never used it though.
No, but I used to use it. But now they got rid of it. Now I can't see like this person that I'm following. I can't
What
see what
they
he's
like.
liking unless I've stumbled upon the picture, which you probably never will. There used to be a very nosy part of Instagram. I actually liked it, but they did get rid of that.
Yeah.
So I think it initially started to connect us more globally. I would say
For
it
sure.
had, I would say it had innocent intentions.
The world got
At
a lot
first.
smaller when Instagram came around.
Yeah,
For sure.
to just find people and see like outside of your community, or if you're in some like small town and you were able to like just connect with people. But very quickly, I feel like it's taken a turn for the worse.
How so?
Well, I find it to be a little bit deceiving. I don't feel like we were having conversations about MySpace and people's pages being fake or catfishing. I don't feel like any of that was a thing initially with social media.
Yeah, I
It
believe
was like
it.
very authentic, I feel like.
Yeah.
And you really made these connections with people and could even end up meeting them outside of your page.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was because MySpace had some limitations. But once it got to Instagram, I feel like even Instagram was innocent at first. It was just like, hey, I'm at the amusement park. I'm eating this food. It was like very innocent. And then like one day it just took a turn and it was like ass and titties and
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and filters.
You got to give the people what they
Yeah.
want.
and everything. And
Yeah.
it just, the whole platform became something else.
Yeah, it definitely has. I mean, but I think social media evolving is also a reflection of how real life has evolved though. You know, like, and this might be an unpopular opinion. I don't even know if people really think about it, but like we literally live in like in the most open prostitution era ever. Like
It's celebrated now.
yeah, you literally. I mean, the fact that you have something like an OnlyFans. Now, mind you, people use OnlyFans for various, reasons, right? But we know the obvious reasons of why it started. It's like, yo, we're literally in an era right now where somebody's like, yeah, I cooked a home cooked meal. You don't even see the meal, but it's a picture of an ass shot of them. And you're like, yo, what that got to do with the, the succotash that you just made? Like,
Selling sex.
My favorite
Yeah.
is the fitness models that say arm day, but the camera's up their crack and all you see is the cheeks and it's like bouncing and stuff. Like that's the funniest one to me. I don't even see your arms in
Yeah,
this
no.
picture video. It's
in
just-
my mind, you're selling yourself in some capacity or another, and you don't even realize that's what you're doing, because all you're doing is really just bringing a certain kind of attention. But then you're also wondering why you can't really get the guy that you're kind of looking for, because you're misrepresenting yourself. Like,
I would say it's e-commerce. I would say that Instagram has become commerce. It's somebody selling something,
yeah,
whether it's themselves or a product. It's really a marketplace at this point. And for prostitution, like, it's sad, but that to say it that way, but it's made it. I mean, most of it's free.
yeah,
So you're almost not even selling that because it's free access. You can creep as much as you want to. You can look and you can see things, which I think is making it extremely dangerous just because it's accessible to people under 18.
right, yeah. I mean, it's also another reason. And my situation is a little bit different. I'm a 6'4", 255-pound man. Like, I don't have so much to worry about danger-wise, like, say women would do. But even myself, like 99% of the time, if I'm somewhere, I'm at a location, I'm posting after I've already left.
Right.
I learned that
Because
the hard way.
I don't need people just running up because they think, oh, it's an open invitation for you to show up where I'm at. I'm like, nah, that's not what this is.
That's happened to me. I've had people show up where I was because I post on Instagram. I'm
That's
definitely more private. I've learned some lessons along over the years with Instagram. I'm definitely more private. I stopped posting certain things. I've even archived hundreds and hundreds of pictures where I was just a little too exposed. I've evolved my Instagram character. Even though it's me, I don't post my bad days, so it's not totally me. I don't post myself crying or when I've had a bad day. Every now and then I might be a little bit transparent, but I try to keep some of it personal. But for everybody, it's like, this is who I want you to see. This is my representative. This is like when you meet somebody for the first time on the first date. It's kind of like when you go to someone's Instagram page.
Their highlight
It's like
reel.
it's almost like their portfolio or their resume.
Right.
This is how I want you to see me. Look, I can do this. I can do that. I have this degree, or I have this job. Or this is the car I drive, or this is the diamonds I can afford. It's like, I want you to see that. But whenever there's something that you rarely do ever see somebody's bad days. So I think that's where it misrepresents all the time.
Yeah.
Even if it is their bad days, I still feel like it's calculated. I still feel like people showing up crying or showing vulnerability has become a marketplace.
For sure.
It has.
Say,
Or
"Hey, I'm
handing
showing
the
my stretch
homeless guy,
marks," or
taking the camera out, handing the homeless guy like $20. Like, look at me, I'm handing the homeless guy $20.
Right.
The entire thing is a facade. It just is. It doesn't matter how authentic you think you're presenting. When we are at our lowest moments, we are not showing the true low moments just out of vulnerability. There's still some
Yeah.
like catch to it. And we are really showing, it's a highlight reel.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, back in my day and age where you were trying to get recruited by colleges and you put together a highlight reel, you didn't show your turnovers. You don't show
No.
all you really put together the best of yourself, like you said, like you presented the resume. And so I think that's really interesting segue into like, are people really putting forth a certain image on social media that cannot be trusted?
Absolutely.
Most definitely.
I was saying before the show tonight that whenever if I meet somebody new, if it's a guy, for example, first thing let me ask you, what's your Instagram? I'm like, no. I want to know you organically, because I would rather judge you off of what I see in real life than whatever you're posting on social media, because that could be a facade. For example, if I say I meet a nice guy, he seems nice, and then I go to his page and there's like 100 selfies of him half naked or holding bricks of money to his ear, me personally, I'm going to be turned off. I would rather get to know. I don't give it out right away. It's hard not to, because people will figure out mutual friends, and they'll figure out as soon as they know your name and your occupation, they can find anything they want. Right. So I'm really careful now about giving. It is a public page. I have gone private before, but I'd rather get to know someone organically because their Instagram page, it is telling, but it's not the real person.
It's telling, I think, of someone's psyche. I think if you're old enough to sit back and observe and say, what is the story that this person is trying to tell? That will give you some insight about who they are. Even though it's not the whole truth, it at least shows you how they're trying to show up or how they're trying to present themselves. And so it gives you insight, but at the end of the day, I think is super misleading. And I think people using it as a site for connection is really obsolete at this point. I don't think people should be making connections based off of social media, because I think once we see something visually, we set something up in our expectations, and this person's going to disappoint you because that's just not who they are. It's just who they would like people to see them as.
I mean, I've met people off social media before, especially like me traveling the way that I do, like country to country or whatnot. And I've legit met people who are really like my people. Like they, hands down, like if they came into town and I was out of town, I needed a house to my key and they need to stay there, I would let them stay there.
Yeah.
Like, because I know hands down they're my people. But I think the interesting thing about social media sometimes too is just really about time, right? It's about, all right, you connected with this person on social media, you haven't met them, they live 6,000 miles away. Cool, there ain't no pressure. But when the paths actually cross, when you do connect with them, and you've had that time before you got to that point, you realize like, oh, you know what? Like, I don't have no reason not to trust this person. Like, even if they're giving us what they're giving on social media, I'm not particularly drawn to people who I feel like I'm getting the facade from, because that ain't for me. That ain't me. I don't, that doesn't resonate with me at all. So I'm like, even if they're trying to connect with me, nah, I'm good. But if I feel like they're my kind of people, time will tell if they really are my kind of people. And if I get a chance to meet them and they actually are that, a lot of them has been that.
I think you can find authentic connections.
Absolutely.
Once you meet them. But I still have very good friends and we have authentic connections, and their social media is still not who they are.
True.
Yep.
And I know that. And I'm like, I know this person behind this, because I really take it for that. I really just take it for face value of like, this is their social media presentation. And I have no expectation that they uphold whoever this is. Oh, well, I thought you did it. You look stronger than this, or you look like you had it together outside of this. When I say that, I'm saying I don't hold that whatever people are presenting on there, like that's your highlight. That's your best collection.
Yeah.
Not that you can't find people, you can't make great friends. You could probably even meet a partner on there, as long as you're not falling for what they
The
present.
okie doke.
Right.
Yeah.
I've met some amazing people through social media. I'm still friends with to this day. Like some amazing personalities, and I've met some real creeps. You have to take the good with the bad.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of good that comes from social media. Like there's a lot of businesses that's their platform, like mostly online businesses. During COVID, these online businesses took off. People were able to pay their bills and their rent off of these online businesses, side hustles through social media. I mean, we get real-time news alerts more from social media than we do watching the news. How often do we sit down and watch the news? Maybe once a day, if that. As we're scrolling, the live flash breaking news, like earthquake just hit, or this happened, or this happened. There's a lot of, the world is so much smaller now since the social media has come around, especially Instagram. If that something crazy is happening, your timeline's about to light up. When are you going to notice if you're just catching on the news or in the newspaper?
But I also feel like you can't believe everything on there.
No, but if you follow trusted affiliates, CNN, MSNBC, I'm not talking about some random. I'm just saying, like, if I follow almost all of them, I follow a lot of
Aren't they
different
all?
ones.
But yeah.
I get both sides. I get both
just
sides. But if there's like a mass shooting, they're both going to report it. If
Right.
there's like,
We just know that's real.
that's
Right.
real. So, I mean, I kind of know what's going on in the world and with real estate and other things more from social media, from trusted sources than I would get watching the 5 o'clock
I think
news
it's a
every day.
good starting point of information, and then to go do further research.
Hell, let me find out what this is about. Like even real estate news or health news, or finding a cure for this, or finding a cure for that. I probably even obscure news that they're not going to make the 5 o'clock news. They only have a small segment. There's so much Nat Geo, all these things we can daily put into our brains and read about every day. I think every morning the first thing I do, check emails, check my social media, see what's going on in the world before I get out of this bed, and see if I even want to get out of bed and see the world today. 'Cause who knows, Armageddon could be coming. Like, So there's a lot of good and bad with just about everything, including social media.
I think once you notice how children are ingesting it,
Mm.
it changes it a lot
Abs-
because we come from an era where we have discernment because we didn't grow up dependent on social media. So I feel like I kind of have a different view of it because even if my daughter tells me, "Hey, I saw this," or she thinks everything's facts on there.
For sure.
And so I think that that's where for me I have a different like it's just a game. That's why I want to teach my kids like everything that you see on there is a game. Like you cannot trust anything. I don't care if it's world news, I don't care if it's political news. You cannot trust that information on there. You have to dig deeper, you have to go further than what they're presenting because there's going to be like if it's the fires in Hawaii, you have one news reporting it this way and then you have images that look real. The conspiracy theories are following shortly behind. They're saying these didn't burn and this is why, and the information looks real, it looks valid, it looks like it's coming from valid sources. It's just like when we did our research papers back in high school, and they were like, you have to validate your sources, even if it's the news.
Yeah.
You got to make sure it's reliable. And I just don't find, I find social media to be just like a branch off of Hollywood.
Oh, for sure.
It's just fake.
And yeah, there's a
Fake news.
lot of room. There's a lot of room for crime to happen. There's a lot of room for stalking and dangerous things to happen. I've seen firsthand how ugly and people showing up at restaurants and people posting like where they live or the Airbnb that they're at, and people showing up. A lot of things happen through social media. I mean, it can be a very scary place. I would be very afraid if I had a child. My 13-year-old nephew he's not allowed to have, he barely has his phone, just because now even on Call of Duty I'm hearing stories where guys are soliciting these kids through the games. I mean, it's just another avenue. It's just another avenue. Social media is a big avenue for predators, for sure.
Yeah. For all good, bad, and ugly. It's just, yeah. I could do without it, really. I mean, I wouldn't mind like
I'd
being
miss
somewhere.
it. I need it. I'd miss social media.
I wish it would go away. I do
Yeah.
because I don't. I think we did okay for a long time. I think our businesses did okay. I feel like people have been operating in business for centuries.
More connected when there's no social media. I think people do they go on breaks from social media for like a month or two, and they
Like you have to take a break from
You
it. You
have to.
literally have to step away from
Unplug.
it, which lets you know that it's a bit of an issue because I feel even for myself personally, I have never felt so insecure in my life until social media came
Really?
up.
That
And
surprises
I
me
feel like I think everyone's getting affected in that way.
because
And
people
I feel
edit
like
their photos
because
and
people edit their photos and they're making it look a certain way. I really feel like every person, I'm a fairly confident, secure person, but I have no qualms in admitting that social media makes me second guess or question things or see things that I didn't see before social media. The flaws that are normally there where I'm naturally aging.
it's changed
Because
the standard.
everyone is covering that up and everyone is covering up wrinkles and every imperfection can be completely erased on there. And it's distorting our own perception of what is reality. And we're starting
Creating
to
self-esteem
compare.
issues in young
Yeah.
girls. They feel like they have to look a certain
Right,
way.
not just that's what I'm
or
saying.
have
I'm 41 years
surgery.
old. I feel like it creates stuff in me that I'm like, hey, what? Why does this look this way? And there's angles and there's filters and there's all these things. And it's like this is not. I have to tell myself this is not reality.
Yeah.
This is not reality. Or people, like you said, presenting their highlight reel of what's happening. It's definitely creating a battle in the mind where you have to tell yourself, you cannot be comparing, or you don't know what this person is really going through, or whatever the case may be. It's really making it seem like you are on a timeline of production,
You're not good enough.
of marriage and family.
Right.
You know, whether it's watching people with kids, I can only imagine, you know, if I'm one of the people who post children and marriage and things like that. And I know that puts pressure on other people to be like, well, this is life and this is what's supposed to be happening. In any given way, somebody's going to feel something about people presenting stuff and sugarcoating it.
Yeah. Because they can. And who's going to stop them from doing it? It's like you got the tools aid there to use filters and do all these other things. And they're like, and you open this thing up with like a couple billion people on there or whatever. And you're like, oh, well, I really just got to follow suit, because otherwise, if I don't, then I'm out here looking crazy.
Do you remember when
Which-
Texas banned filters? Do
Yeah,
you remember that?
it didn't last
It
long.
didn't last
but-
very long, but they
No.
banned, so you couldn't post a filter in Texas. Yeah, you couldn't post a filter. No, have you ever gone out and seen someone in real life and you didn't recognize them?
Regularly.
Exactly, and you don't recognize, they look totally different in real life than they do on Instagram. It's amazing. Like, wait,
Yeah.
who? I follow you?
Yeah.
You have
I
to,
don't-
you
I don't
have
get
to,
it.
you have to constantly tell yourself. And I feel like for a mature mind, we have that side that can tell us, hey, this is not real, and don't let that get to you. But for kids that are growing up in this, it's going to be really tough. I mean, you have people going to war in Congress right now to keep kids from having access to it because they know that psychologically it's causing damage.
Sure.
You have the makers of social media who don't let their kids on it, who have admitted or backed down to say, hey, this is a really destructive product we've created, and we're sorry. We're going to leave it alone.
What's that? There's actually this term called Snapchat dysmorphia. Have you heard it?
No.
It's where girls are getting surgery to look like these Snapchat models. That's where the BBL got so popular. And the waist, what do you call those? Waist trainers got so popular. There are girls that get all these, it's called Snapchat dysmorphia. You want to look like your Snapchat filter. So they get surgery to look like their filter. It's a real thing. It's very
Just
sad.
think about it. If a
insane.
woman gets online and she talks about being natural, she literally gets slammed in this day and
True.
age as if she's saying something bad about the people who are altering their appearance.
Now, I'll admit, I've definitely edited some pictures before. I have blurred out pimples. I have blurred out bruises, and maybe even some cellulite. In a swimsuit, absolutely. I have, for sure. I'm a woman. I have my own
Right?
insecurities.
That's what I'm saying. When in reality, those are things that are real and should be celebrated, and we should not be getting so far removed from it.
Well, I don't change my whole identity, but I will, like, blur out a pimple on my face.
Little touch up.
They'll touch up here and there. I mean, they do that in the
Yeah.
movies a bit. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not going out.
Sure.
You're gonna
That's
recognize
why I said
me.
it's Hollywood. It's
Right.
an offshoot of Hollywood.
If someone want to see me out, they're gonna not recognize
still
me.
know
I
you
still
are
look
you.
like my
Yeah.
pictures. I don't look like I have like a tiny little waist and like I have curves, and I've never like downplayed that. But if I have one little blemish or one like cupping bruises, I've gone out like strapless back with cupping bruises. I've edited all that out because it just looked crazy. But I don't
mean, which is
change who
fair.
I am. I
Yeah.
don't change my identity at all.
Yeah. I think the unfortunate part too with the filter era is that you have the filter, I feel like, creates this thing for a lot of people that do use them, where it's like a confidence booster,
Yeah.
right? Like, and I get it, but in real life, you can come across these people sometimes, and their in-person confidence is like not even there at all.
Yeah.
And additionally, on top of that, you have people, that are getting work done, but they don't realize that you're still going to be who you are on the inside.
Mhm.
So if you don't hold yourself in high regard and a certain level of dignity, integrity, all these things that actually matter for a person's character, it doesn't matter how big your ass is now, or how slim your waist is, or what you did to your face, or all those things. And I guarantee you they don't realize it until after they've gotten the work done, and then they're looking up like,
So many
I
girls.
still feel the same every morning when I wake up.
Right, so-
Girls are
oh,
reversing
Yeah.
it now. Well, so many girls you'll read about are getting their boobs taken out, getting their ass shots fixed. Like it's causing problems, medical problems. Girls that were doing when the waist training was a big thing, they were cutting off the blood and oxygen to their vital organs. Your waist isn't meant to be that small. What do you think is happening inside? Everything's squishing together. Now you're going to have some organ failure down the line. Like it's just become so unhealthy. This dysmorphia, this trend of
we have
this
thousands of
dysmorphia.
people following it. And that's why I said it's super. I wish it would go away because I feel like it's more unhealthy. It's doing more harm than good, and businesses will run fine without it. You will use word of mouth. We will go back to old school ways because it's really not. It's surface level, and it is not reality. And nothing is going to go away if you change your appearance. Like you said, you show up. It does not change the character that's inside. It doesn't change personality. I rarely take selfies. I rarely post pictures because I'm like, my energy is an entire part of my package more than any physicality that I could present. I'm like, I'd rather you meet me in person because everything that's going to come from the inside is way cuter than what's on the outside appearance for me.
Right.
That's why I don't post myself a lot, because I'm like, I don't want you to judge me off of that. Like, you need the whole energetic
package.
thing.
Yeah,
Like, you're not
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
get that from here.
No,
Really quick, I
get
just
that.
want to say that I'm not against people getting surgery, by the way, plastic surgery and cosmetic surgery. If you need to do that to
Me
make
either.
yourself feel better, great. But if you're trying to look like somebody that you're absolutely not, that's where it's dangerous, especially if you're really young trying to look like somebody else. There was a famous comedian, really quick, that said, "You want to look like Nicki Minaj, but Nicki Minaj don't look like Nicki
No,
Minaj."
right. Yeah. No, that's real. I mean, to each its own. You know, you make your choices. You got to live with them.
Yeah.
Fortunately, you know, some of them can reverse the work that they
I'm
have
happy
done.
with
but
my plastic surgery that I've had done, but
Yeah, there is
I
nothing wrong with
still
plastic
look
surgery. I
like
will stand by
myself.
that.
I still look
too.
like myself.
But I don't want us. I see it a lot, and I've seen this a lot of women putting down natural women at this point, either saying that they're natural because they're broke. Get
Oh,
the fuck out
that's
of here.
crazy.
Like, nobody's natural because they're broke. Like, that is not why some women choose. I do not choose to stay natural because I'm broke. I'll be the first to say that. I choose to stay natural because I'm okay with everything that I've gotten in my God-given body, and that's okay for me to feel that way. Just as confident somebody feels putting on a new set of titties, I can feel confident with my original set.
Can I
and
ask you a
my
question?
original body.
Just hypothetical. If you were to have to have a double mastectomy for some reason at your age right now, would you get reconstructive surgery or would you just let them go?
I'll probably let them go.
Let them go. Okay.
Like I said, because I said social media has been the most thing to tamper with my esteem ever in my life. I do not feel like anything comes from my inner. I was a flat-chested, skinny person for majority of my life. In high school, the boys were not looking at me sexually. They were looking at me for my personality, because I just learned to just be myself and have a good time and make friends with people. So I never got attention. I didn't have big boobs. I didn't develop early.
What
So
about
I didn't have that energy. So if my boobs are gone, I still trust that I can, like,
What
have
about if a woman
relationships with people.
had big boobs naturally and had breast cancer in her 20s
and reduced it
and had to have a double mastectomy
Yeah.
and
and wanted them back.
that's
There's
all she
nothing
knew?
wrong with anybody wanting plastic surgery ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
It's just a personal preference
Yeah,
thing.
personal
So
preference. I just don't like how it's going to where they're now trying to
Changing
make
exactly. They're
natural
changing
women
who
feel
they are.
bad.
Yeah.
yeah.
Why?
I think it's interesting that you just said, you know, you developed a little bit later, and your personality was the thing that, like,
Attracted people.
yeah,
Yes,
you
that's
connected with
what
people, so
happened.
on and so forth. But I think, you know, on the flip side, you have some that developed early, right? Like, they were prettier than probably most in their class, and they had ass and they had titties, whatever, right? But they lacked the personality.
Right.
So
that
imagine,
goes a long way.
But they
yeah,
were getting attention.
they were getting the attention. They were getting attention, which was cool. But the problem is that their personality, a lot of people's personality didn't
Stunted.
develop because
didn't need
they
to.
let their assets get them in the door all the time. And then when they got in the door, they didn't know what to do with themselves.
Yeah, the assets, they thought this will last me forever. I've known kids, the girls in high school that were the most popular pretty girls then and got all the football players. And I went to my 20-year reunion, and talk about opposite. Talk about role reversal. They've all gone, you know, it was just insane.
To hell.
I mean, my
They
mom
have,
would tell
because
me when I was complaining about it.
they
like, "Mom,
peaked
I
in
don't
high
have this
school."
and that. And she'd be like, the girls that have that in 10 years and 15 years, they're going to look a lot different.
Oh, they're gonna
And
have a
you're
bunch
be
of kids.
just coming into a body, like, in your
Yeah.
20s. And I, like,
Yeah.
even then, there was that level of, like, not having something, right? Like, of not being
Comparison is
full-figured,
what is
right?
it?
The thief of
The
joy.
thief of joy.
for sure. But, like, so early on, I was like, you know what? I didn't have a problem with guys liking me just based off of, like, the homie and, like, being cool and able to vibe. And I wasn't trying to do any of that stuff anyways at that age. So I was like, good that they're not pressing me for it, because I'm not trying to do it. And it works out. If I have to have both of these, I'm damn near at a mastectomy now. Like, I don't have enough. Like, I will hardly be losing anything
Well, so I was-
for my feelings to be hurt.
I was actually very happy with my body the way it was. When then I changed and got off birth control pills. And birth control, when I got off after 22 years, it changed the dynamic and shape and structure and density and everything. And I looked like I was 90 in that area. So all I did was have the surgery to go back to where I was before. Nothing bigger, no sizes changed or anything. I feel better about myself. That's why I did what I did. But mine was because I had a drastic change within 30 days of me stopping the birth control pill. So everyone has their own reason, and everyone feels if that makes you feel better,
If it
good.
makes
But
you feel better.
but there's a
Wow.
line. There's a line when it take it too far, and that your lips are out to here, and your boobs are out to
Yeah.
here, and your waist is this big, and you're having organ failure. That's that's ridiculous.
Right.
So if I can say, hey, like I look at social media and it may affect me a little bit, it has not affected me to the point where I've wanted to change anything. Now, everything, I mean, my
I
nails
wouldn't
are all
change
the way down
anything
to
on.
the core. Like
I wouldn't change anything on you either.
from head to toe. Like I'm okay with
I wouldn't
it.
change anything on you
Yeah,
either.
appreciate
It bothers
You
me.
guys, man.
Like I get my moments of like seeing stuff and feeling some kind of way, but it's never pushing me to the edge. It's making me want to alter anything that I feel like God gave me. I'm like, I'm okay here.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's enough inside for, and if anybody, if my husband was to, I mean, he's already there, but if he was to leave me because of something not being there, that's on him.
Thank you for joining us today on another episode of Social Perspective. This has been episode 4, part 1. Let us know what you think in the comments.